The air hung heavy, thick with the stench of fear and rain-soaked asphalt. Emergency lights sliced through the darkness, painting the brownstone buildings in a kaleidoscope of red and blue. Inside one of those brownstones, a tragedy had unfolded. Livy Lewis was a ray of sunshine in the often dreary tapestry of city life. Her friends described her as someone who could light up a room with her smile, a beacon of warmth and kindness in a world that often felt cold. Livy deserved justice. Livy Lewis wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She grew up in a modest neighborhood raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly to make ends meet. Livy possessed a quiet determination that belied her gentle nature. She wasn't afraid to dream big, and she worked tirelessly to turn her aspirations into reality. It was during her time at the photography studio that Livy met Mark, a charming and charismatic freelance writer. They began dating, and for a while it seemed like a match made in heaven. But as the months passed, a subtle shift occurred in their relationship. Livy, ever the optimist, tried to rationalize Mark's behavior. She told herself he was just stressed, that his possessiveness stemmed from a place of love and concern. The once bright spark in Livy's eyes began to dim, replaced by a haunted look that spoke volumes. Mark's controlling behavior escalated, tightening his grip on every aspect of Livy's life. Finding the courage to leave an abusive relationship is a monumental task, but Livy, despite the terror that gripped her heart, knew she couldn't remain in this toxic situation any longer. The day of the murder dawned like any other, the city slowly shaking off the remnants of night. Livy, however, woke with a knot of anxiety twisting in her stomach. The workday provided a welcome distraction for Livy. Immersing herself in her work, she found solace in the familiar routine. The familiar street lamps flickered to life as dusk settled over the city, casting an eerie glow on the wet pavement. A light rain had begun to fall, the air thick with humidity and a growing sense of unease. The discovery of Livy's body sent shockwaves through the city. The news spread like wildfire, leaving a trail of grief, anger, and disbelief in its wake. The image of her smiling face, frozen in time on missing person posters plastered across the city, became a haunting reminder of the fragility of life, of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of their seemingly safe haven. As the police swarmed the crime scene, their faces grim beneath the glare of the flashing lights, a collective question hung heavy in the air. Who could have committed such a heinous act? And in the hushed whispers exchanged between detectives, a name began to surface, a name that would soon become synonymous with betrayal, rage, and the chilling depths of human darkness. Mark. Inside Livy's apartment, the scene was one of utter chaos. Furniture lay overturned, its contents strewn across the floor like confetti after a parade. Shards of broken glass glinted menacingly under the harsh glare of the overhead light, casting fractured reflections on the walls. And in the center of it all, lying amidst the debris, was Livy. The vibrant young woman who had radiated warmth and laughter was gone, replaced by a chilling tableau of violence. Her eyes, once sparkling with life, stared vacantly at the ceiling, forever robbed of their light. A single crimson stain bloomed on her white blouse, a stark reminder of the brutality that had unfolded within those walls. Detective Inspector Davies surveyed the scene, his eyes scanning every detail of the chaotic tableau. The air hung heavy with the metallic scent of blood, mingled with the sterile tang of cleaning products used to process the scene. Livy Lewis, a young woman whose life had been brutally cut short, lay under a pristine white sheet, a stark contrast to the carnage that surrounded her.
Years on the force had inured Davies to the horrors humans were capable of inflicting on one another, but this case, with its raw brutality and the palpable sense of loss that permeated the air, struck a chord deep within him. He vowed then and there that he would not rest until Livy's killer was brought to justice.
The initial investigation resembled a frantic dance. A whirlwind of activity as forensic teams dusted for fingerprints, collected DNA samples, and meticulously documented every inch of the crime scene. Witnesses, their faces etched with shock and grief, were interviewed, their fragmented accounts painting a picture of Livy's final days, a tapestry woven with threads of fear and desperation. Davies listened intently, his mind working overtime, piecing together the puzzle, searching for that one missing piece, that crucial clue that would lead him to Livy's killer. His gut, honed by years of experience, whispered a name: Mark, the ex-boyfriend, the possessive lover, the shadow that had loomed over Livy's life.
Section 2. Ghosts in the Machine: Unraveling the Digital Trail. While the forensic teams meticulously combed through the physical evidence, another team of specialists delved into the digital world, seeking clues in the vast and often tangled web of data that defined modern life.
Livy's phone, a lifeline in her final days, became our Rosetta Stone. Its contents held the key to unlocking the secrets of her last hours.
Text messages, painstakingly retrieved from the device, revealed a chilling narrative of obsession and control. Mark's messages, once filled with affection, had morphed into a torrent of accusations, threats, and desperate pleas, a testament to his growing rage and his inability to accept Livy's decision to end their relationship.
Social media accounts, those carefully curated windows into our lives, were scrutinized, revealing a different side to Mark's persona. Gone was the charming and charismatic facade he presented to the world. In its place, a darker, more sinister personality emerged, one prone to jealousy, possessiveness, and a hair-trigger temper.
The digital trail led the investigators down a rabbit hole of deleted messages, hidden profiles, and online forums dedicated to stalking and harassment. The evidence, though circumstantial, painted a damning picture, each digital breadcrumb leading them closer to Mark, tightening the noose of suspicion around him. Section 3. The walls close in, closing the net. As the investigation progressed, a sense of urgency gripped the team. Mark, now the prime suspect in Livy's murder, had vanished. His flat, once a testament to his carefully crafted persona, now sat empty, stripped bare of any personal belongings, as if he had anticipated their arrival.
A nationwide manhunt ensued, with Mark's face plastered across every newspaper and television screen in the country. The pressure mounted with each passing day as public outrage grew, fueled by the heartbreaking details of Livy's life and the brutal manner of her death.
The case had become a national obsession, with armchair detectives dissecting every detail, every clue, every rumor, desperate for answers, hungry for justice. Despite the intense pressure, Detective Inspector Davies refused to let the investigation be swayed by public opinion or media frenzy.
He knew that one misstep, one hasty decision could jeopardize the entire case, allowing Livy's killer to slip through their fingers. He would bring Mark to justice, not through public pressure, but through the methodical gathering of evidence, the slow and steady tightening of the net until the weight of his crimes became inescapable.
Section 1. The chase across state lines. Days turned into weeks, each one a painful reminder of Livy's absence. The investigation seemed to have hit a brick wall. Mark had vanished without a trace. The leads had dwindled, leaving the team grappling with the reality that he might have slipped through their grasp.
Detective Inspector Davies refused to give up hope. Livy deserved justice, and he would not rest until her killer was brought to book.
The breakthrough came unexpectedly, a glimmer of hope in the vast expanse of digital data. Mark had made a crucial mistake. He used his credit card at a roadside diner.
It was a rookie error, betraying his desperation. The team traced the transaction to a small town in the Midwest.
Local law enforcement was alerted, the manhunt intensified, the sleepy town transformed, police cars patrolled the streets, their sirens slicing through the quiet afternoon air. The net was closing in. Section 2 captured The Walls Close In. The diner, a greasy spoon with faded booths and the lingering aroma of stale coffee, became the unlikely stage for Mark's capture. He sat hunched over a plate of food, his eyes bloodshot, his face hidden behind a scraggly beard, a far cry from the charming and charismatic man who had once captivated Livy.
The waitress, a woman with kind eyes and a weary smile, recognized him instantly, the image of his face seared into her memory from the countless news reports. Her heart pounded in her chest as she discreetly alerted the local police, her voice trembling slightly as she relayed the information.
Minutes later, the diner was swarming with officers, their movements swift and coordinated, their faces betraying nothing but a steely determination to apprehend their target. Mark, caught off guard, offered no resistance as they slapped the handcuffs on his wrists, the cold steel a tangible reminder of the gravity of his situation.
The news of his capture spread like wildfire, a collective sigh of relief sweeping across the nation. Livy's family and friends, their faces etched with a mixture of grief and grim satisfaction, clung to each other for support, united in their shared hope that justice would finally be served.
Detective Inspector Davies, his eyes betraying the toll the investigation had taken, allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. The chase was over, but the real battle, the fight for Livy's memory, was just beginning. Section 3. Justice will be served. The trial begins. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation, the air thick with the weight of expectation. Journalists scribbled furiously in their notepads, their pens scratching like a chorus of insects.
Livy's friends and family, their faces pale with grief, huddled together in the front row, their eyes fixed on the defendant's table where Mark sat flanked by his lawyers.
The prosecution meticulously presented their case, painting a chilling portrait of a relationship poisoned by obsession. They recounted Mark's possessive behavior and threatening messages. The digital trail loomed large, a damning indictment of Mark's actions.
Witnesses testified, weaving a tapestry of fear and manipulation. Livy's friends spoke of her infectious laughter and vibrant spirit, a poignant reminder of the life cruelly extinguished.
The courtroom crackled with raw emotion, the grief a testament to Livy's impact. Mark sat impassively, his face a mask of indifference. Section 1. Verdict and Aftermath. The jury's verdict, delivered after days of deliberation, reverberated through the courtroom like a thunderbolt. Guilty. A collective gasp arose from the gallery, a wave of emotion washing over the room.
Livy's loved ones, their faces etched with a mixture of relief and raw grief, clung to one another, tears streaming down their faces. The verdict, while anticipated, did little to fill the void left by Livy's absence, the ache in their hearts a constant reminder of their loss.
Mark, his face now stripped of its usual arrogance, remained impassive as the judge handed down the sentence. Life imprisonment, a fitting punishment for a crime that had extinguished a bright light in the world. As he was led away, his eyes, devoid of remorse, met the eyes of Livy's mother, a chilling reminder of the darkness he carried within.
The trial concluded, the media circus moved on, seeking its next headline-grabbing spectacle. But for those who had known and loved Livy, the journey was far from over. The scars of that tragedy ran deep, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked obsession.
Livy's name became synonymous with the fight against domestic violence, her story a rallying cry for greater awareness, prevention, and support for those trapped in abusive relationships. Section 2. Livy's Legacy, A City Remembers. In the wake of the tragedy, the city seemed to pause, to reflect, to remember. Livy's murder sparked a citywide conversation about domestic violence. Community centers became sanctuaries for those seeking refuge. Livy's friends established a foundation in her name. The foundation quickly gained momentum, its message resonating far beyond the city limits. Livy's story became a beacon of light, inspiring countless individuals. Livy Lewis, the vibrant young woman, would never be forgotten. Her legacy lived on in the countless lives she touched, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, the human capacity for love, compassion, and resilience could never be extinguished.